Bauhaus is associated with resolute modernity and topicality, the readiness to rethink in a radical way with precision and transparency, as well as clear social responsibility.
We work in the field of contemporary circus since 20 years. Cox graduated at the Brussels School of Circus Arts, ESAC, and I completed a master's degree in art history and musicology at the University of Cologne. Since 2016, we are researching to the interfaces of Bauhaus and circus. We have been creating site-specific performances for the Bauhaus-Dessau Foundation in 2016 and 17, and last year for the Great Anniversary Program. Bauhaus as a stage, as a place for play and experimentation, revealed to us various points of contact with the circus of today. And in our work, we mainly focused on the relationship body-space-object. In each of these aspects, we see interfaces to the Bauhaus methods. Regarding the space, we choose to work site-specific, involving the Bauhaus architecture in our performances as a stage, as counterpart, reference point, or source of inspiration. The body, which is so central to Oskar Schlemmer, is understood by us as a material that is subjected to research, just like the material research of wood or metal at the Bauhaus preliminary courses. And our method we used is called Petite Danse and is based on repetition and the logical development of movement that always returns to zero. And the object for us is no longer under the control of the performer, but receives its own agency. And this idea leads us to a new approach towards virtuosity.
When we work in the Bauhaus Dessau, we create site-specific performances where the space, the architecture, gives us impulses. Now we don't have a common physical space anymore. We meet together in a new, unexplored space, which is now to be researched. What new possibilities are there for us? How can a physical co-presence of performer and spectator arise despite geographical distance? And how do performances, concepts adapt to the new space and the changed way of life?
And from the cast in 2019, we have invited 3 circus artists to share with us their experiences and impulses that the discussion of the Bauhaus theme has triggered in them. We gave each of them a task specific to their artistic point of view, which we viewed and reflected on together in a virtual meeting. And this way of working corresponds to our process-oriented and collective approach, which is comparable with the methods of the Bauhaus artists like Shanti Savinsky or Molly Notch.
I am Marie-Andrée Robitaille and I'm a circus artist. I am a PhD candidate in performative and mediated practices in choreography at the Stockholm University of the Arts in Sweden. I'm originally from Quebec, Canada, but I'm based in Stockholm now. The working title of my PhD is Circus as Dialogique. And in this project, I propose to explore how can different notions of dialogues can transform circus when it comes to form, processes, and structures. I want to have a strong focus for the relations and dialogical potential between the human or the artist and the physical and immaterial elements Hen is surrounded with. And as a performing, designing, and reflecting practitioner, that I aim to provoke a shift from an anthropocentric circus making to one that focuses on matter. And I seek to enable and open up unexpected arrangement and affordance in circus composition, in performance, and circus presentation. And all this as a method to reflect on how we connect to the world that surrounds us. Today to engage with the material, which is the foil, based on its properties and not on what I want to say or what I want to represent. So I'm trying to be aware and develop awareness and understanding on how the foiled properties work and operate. So the lightness and the heaviness of the material, the opacity and the transparency, the strength of the material, but its fragility also. The sound that it creates can be very loud or very subtle. It's also a blocker of sound. It's reflective, shiny, brilliant, and it has also thermal properties such as permeability and resistance to heat or to cold. And it has no conductivity.
I was missing the wind.
It was hard to feel all the qualities of the object that normally you have there when you're in this co-presence situation. So the visual part was very much in the focus, and everything else you could imagine, but it was not there.
The sound was always a bit behind or a bit in front, I don't know. Maybe the image was behind. So this was an interesting delay of experience.
I like the choice I had to focus on my screen with your performance, and to focus also below or in the outside of my screen where there is no performance. So it was a continuously in and out.
I was feeling a bit like not distance, but a bit like through a car window, you know, like when you drive, or like a bus, and you sit and you watch the landscape passing by, and like you see it's raining, but you don't feel that it's wet.
It felt very distanced to me, and I wonder what else then comes in through this way of perception.
The object in itself is charged with connection to its primary function, which is to protect in situation of crisis. it's very hard to not try to exploit that. Or, you know, the costume is, and maybe it is an explorator or an astronaut or a doctor, or, you know, now we see this on television, it's becoming more and more present. And what's the place of the semiotic, of the perception, and of the stories that comes anyway? I cannot refute that it will come.
Hello, I'm Carina Klingsell. I'm a circus artist, recently graduated from Code Arts in Rotterdam. I'm originally from Stockholm in Sweden. And today, what I will share with you is specifically inspired by the task of this virtual space. So for my preparation phase, I actually need you to prepare that you have your phone with you. I would like you to join me at my place. And to do this, you search for Bonaventura Straat 99A on Google Maps. And when you find the address, you click on the option of looking at the photos. And now just take a look around in my house and explore where I'm at. And the little tips is to enable the function that you can move with your phone in the space. Thank you all for making it here. It's a pleasure to have you here in my house. And what I will share with you today is my exploration and research from the last days in this space. So take a seat, sit back and relax. Yes, thank you. I wanted to show a space that didn't have a direct focus, or that you didn't get the full picture directly, but you would have to yourself look around and explore it on your own, so that the audience would have the choice of where to look, etc. And like this was my approach to the bridge of virtual space, like between you and me, and the performance and the preparation for it. And the video that I show is an exploration of the space, kind of as the end result, virtual performance after that you came into the space. And it reflects on what I'm doing at the moment and what I do in these spaces. And I'm taking just different approaches to these tasks and having these everyday objects and normal life be my inspiration for creating something.
Like the sense of space, like when you're away, you can still feel that space and you can project yourself in there.
It made it much stronger for me to feel the space as well. I felt myself very there.
It's funny, but you feel this screen always, no?
Now I, in a way, focused a little bit on two things. In one sense, this thing of bringing us closer, like bringing us past these screens, but with the use of these screens. So in a way, it's counterintuitive in the sense how I'm trying to make you feel closer to me. And what we were talking about earlier, also how if we are in a performance that is online and like this, that often the focus now, at least for me, becomes on the object that we are using to experience this.
I really like that you did the research with the medium, with a computer program of recording. I really like that you really used it as a new prop to research on. Yeah, as we already said, the connection between art and life, and what is the choreography and what is your normal way how to go to bed, and all these shiftings in between. So for me, it was a lot about transition and shifting between reality, virtuality, art, and life all the time. And sometimes I also, especially at the very end, I felt kind of unsecure or unsafe, because I kind of felt lost. I didn't, then for a very, very small second, I wasn't sure where I am now. Am I now in this, are we now in your real space, or are we now back in our chat? Or kind of, wow, okay, this creates a weird feeling, not to know where I am.
Yeah.
Yes, it's it did that to me too. I like the progression that you installed in the overall composition, where we could not see your face at the beginning. I don't know if it was my screen that did that, but I couldn't see your face, and then I could focus on other parts of the movement or the scenery, and then gradually I kind of like got to know you through your déplacement, through your movement, day-to-day movement in a way, even though they are the day-to-day movement of an acrobat. And then when this part come where I call it the mise en abîme, where we see us or we see you in the screen, and it feels like we go some layer into the network. It felt, and then I started to reflect or think about choreographically, how are we going to transform? Like, what is the choreography of life going to be? It's interesting to see like how it becomes a monologue in a way, even though there is a dialogue, because you provide me with some image and some material, and I think and talk, but so there is there is one-way dialogue. How can we share this? And it's just question that raised, because it, in a way, it becomes static.
In the next step, we can imagine that my space is coming to your space.
Yeah, hello. My name is Kolja Huneck, and I'm originally from Huneck, from Germany. And I also graduated from Codarts Circus Arts last year. And I'm specialized in object manipulation and juggling. So what you will see today is a research that I'm busy with at the moment. I asked myself when thinking about this, specifically also through this virtual space of performing and making you experience something that I do kind of every day, or that is my craft. So object manipulation. Aren't we all jugglers? What image do you have of your hands? Look at them and ask yourself how they are connected to your consciousness and what makes them move. Yeah, general question about objects. I think it's a good exercise to study and question the object and its material. What is it made for? Where does it come from? What is in the object and what history does it tell us? What do we hold in our hands and where will it go next?
So the question would be, what chances or possibilities do you see in the current situation of the crisis, the corona crisis, for the contemporary circus?
I wish for this time to become an opportunity to revise the way we produce and we disseminate, maybe not only the circus, actually performing arts in general. Should we continue after, and should we go bigger or better or more in depth, or, you know, there's so many ways to go. But should we revise the way that we bring circus in the life of people?
Yeah, I take it as a game to now explore this, but the circus is life, and when it's alive back again, so how the virtual space we can take with us.
What happens if the circus does not stay an elitic practice of a few, but becomes a practice of the all? What happened to the city if we go to work flipping or flying? Or what happened if everybody lives their life as a juggler?
Probably the circus could really give one very small answer, or just give the focus a bit more on the presence of the body and the importance of the body in our life, because this is what we experience the most when we are sitting all the time in front of the screens.